Hello, influencers. Listen, I want to do this video to just kind of recap my thoughts after attending tonight's city council meeting. Yesterday, I seen a Facebook post where there was a proposed ordinance that the city of Cambridge, Maryland had put out, Ordinance 1207, that was going to be proposing a curfew for teenagers 15 and younger, for them to be in the home by 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and other nights at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so if a teen or a child or a young person is in violation of the curfew, what will happen is a parent or guardian will receive a warning the first time. Then the second time, they'll receive $100 civic penalty. And then the third time, it will be a $200 civic penalty, and so forth and so on. And so when I first seen this, I seen all of the various comments, and my initial thoughts was, whoa, this is serious. Like, at the peak of, and the peak and point of community where the 15-year-old was murdered on Greenwood Avenue, there wasn't conversation around a curfew. Then I thought about the age range of some of the tragic events that have taken place in the city of Cambridge. Then I thought about the time of day that some of these tragic events have happened. And so a lot of different things came into my mind, or came into thought, when reading comments, when just listening and reviewing the ordinance. Well, not listening to it, but reading the ordinance. And just taking into consideration from a community engagement standpoint, as well as a community leader and one that has a love for young people. And then my educational background, where I've studied psychology and understanding the stages of development, and understanding the transitional period, understanding the generational differences of how I have engaged with parents who have asked for support for their teenage children, or their children in general, for all that matter. And so there were so many things that came to mind when it came to considering the idea of the proposed ordinance to implement a curfew for youth 15 and younger. So the proposed ordinance would have it to be that the curfew would be implemented starting at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and other nights from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And so, of course, as a parent that's very disciplined and very structured, I wouldn't allow my children to be out by themselves at that time of night. However, I'm only one, and I have also had to consider issues that I have had with my oldest son, transitional moments where I have dealt with, struggle and challenges with my oldest son. And so one of the first things I propose is that, according to Eric Erickson, who is a psychosocial psychologist, his stages of development actually talks about, from the ages of 12 to 18, how pre-teen and in the adolescent stage of teenage years, that teens are actually going through a process of coming into a sense of themselves to discover who they are, beyond the structures that their parents have instituted for their lives. And so when I thought about the curfew, I wanted to see it from, look at it from the lens of other municipalities on the neighboring counties. And so I did see a screenshot of Mayor Day's comments where Mayor Day, his name is Mayor, he's the mayor, his last name is Day, but Mayor Day of Salisbury, Maryland, he actually posted a comment that one of the greatest things that under his leadership they did was to reject the idea of a curfew and to invest in youth programming, youth community centers to give the youth somewhere and something to do during late nights or times that they would find themselves idle, right? And so I thought that was a great idea. I currently feel that there is nothing beyond the 7 o'clock p.m. hour for our youth, specifically from the ages of 13 to 17 to do, not unless it's involving some form of payment. And so you do have some young people that desire to be involved in productive things. They want to be involved in sports, but families may not be able to afford to pay for them to participate in sports. Beyond the sports offered at the high school, the Parks and Recs in Cambridge is the only other place that I am aware of that has or they offer programming for sports, and of course the YMCA. But again, with the programming of the YMCA, as well as the way that the Parks and Recs is currently established, doesn't really allot additional time for youth that may not have the means, or families may not have the means to financially support their participation in some of the extracurriculum activities. And so during the city council meeting, the city commissioners, some of them spoke concerning their thoughts about the curfew. Others did not elaborate on their thoughts about the curfew. The mayor gave some remarks, and then they also held time for the public to provide commentary on whatever they desired to share. And so there was commentary established where I shared specifically in regarding the psychology and the stages of development that teenagers or adolescents go through from the ages of 12 to 17, according to Erickson's theory. I also offered the perspective of our neighboring county in Salisbury, who rejected the idea of a curfew, and they invested into youth programming and youth community centers. I definitely believe that there needs to be some collaboration with Mayor Day in terms of how that youth programming is working and the youth community centers are working to reduce violent crimes or to reduce petty crimes that are being or that were happening at the hands of any of the youth 15 and under. And so with that being said, there were also generational perspectives offered. For instance, even for myself, I was raised in an era where we had a fear of our parent. Like, we did not test the waters per se. So we had to be in the house when the street lights came on. Like, that was the alarm. When the street lights came on, that was our signal that if we were not already home, we needed to be headed home. And so I am fully aware that generational, as well as us coming through an entire pandemic where social interaction was very limited during the time of the pandemic, we have additional factors to consider. I think that the timing of the curfew poses questions to community, especially at once upon a time, there was a heightened continuation or a sequence of a violent activity happening in the community. But I also think for me, as I said initially, my preliminary thoughts were considering the timing of the curfew and the timing of some of the unfortunate tragic events happening in our community. The curfew doesn't necessarily speak to the prevention of these tragic events reoccurring or happening again. I believe definitely increased security measures is one thing, but in it all, personally, I spoke concerning government having some type of control over the way that families are governed. And I also shared my personal experience when my son was going through a developmental transitional period, where in which, because I'm so structured, because I am so disciplined, because I can be very hard in terms of very strict in terms of my parenting. My oldest son, when he was 14, he's transitioning into high school. He was finding that his friends were able to have more leniency than what he was given. And he got to a place one night at 11 o'clock. He said, "I'm sick of this, I'm leaving." And he walked out of my house. And I was not in support, did not give him the permission to do so. And so if there was to have been a curfew at that time, while it was his first offense, I would have gotten notified if the police or someone had engaged my son before I got to him. I would have gotten notified to question why he was out, and given a warning for him being out after that time, right? And so I say that to bring into the parent perspective that as a community advocate and a community leader, I've had parents that have reached out to me for support with their youth, with their children. And I personally believe that, it will put some parents in a bind or a sense of punishment to the parent because of the disconnection between the parent-child relationship. And so I personally don't believe that this is a city government fix or issue. And so there were commentary made that this implementation of the curfew, if it is implemented or instituted, that it will be a tool in the toolbox. And so some of the council members shared their open remarks of, safety concern for youth being out late at night, potentially becoming a victim of crime from an older adult. And that's not something that they would desire to see in the city. And I listened to the heart of our commissioners as they shared. And I listened to the commentary that was provided by community. And I will say that what we are missing is that sense of community that I was raised in. I was raised in the sense of community where community was community. They united together. If I was 5 neighborhoods over thinking that I was doing something to get away from my mom, someone had already called my mom, seen me, let me know that they seen me, called my mom, and I had to deal with my mom when I got home. My mom did not have a fear of disciplining us as her children because she knew she did not want to lose us to the foster care system. And so as a parent of 4 children, I don't believe in sparing a ride, spoiling a child. I believe in discipline. I do not believe in abusing a child, but I believe that children need structure, they need discipline, and they also need space and a voice, a reason. And I have to be fully transparent and disclose that my journey of parenting has not always been the best. So through my education and my learning, I had to sit my children down. I had to literally share with them reasons why I have been the way that I was. I had to apologize. I had to show my humility, humble myself in front of my children to show them that parenting does not come with a manual, to show them the human side of mom. That mom, while you may see mom as superwoman, while may see dad as Superman, that we are not, neither by no means whatsoever. We have room where we have made error, where we have had to sit you down to apologize. So I, often talk about how, and I said this tonight at city council meeting, that there were times where I could say something to my child. I was given a situation when my son walked out. When I finally caught up with him, I said, get in this car. He wouldn't budge. Because of the sense of community that I have in my life, I called my sister. And my sister came out of her bed to come where we were, to talk to my son. I called my cousin to talk to my son, to help him get an understanding of how he's wrong and how he needs to better address his frustrations and to communicate those things. And so I see a lot of things from a versatile perspective. One of the things that the mayor said in his closing remarks is he mentioned how the ordinance does not state measurements that would be in place to track data, that the proposed ordinance would be for 6 months. And how will we track the data? What will we do with the data? So in the commentary, some of the public actually talked about this curfew being a tool in the toolbox. And so using it as a tool, in order for the tool to work effectively, we have to understand exactly what is happening in our community. For those young people that are out past the time or late nights, or I'm going to be honest, they propose 10 o'clock, but I'm looking at what are youth doing out 9 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock on a school night. And how can we help those youth? How can we help those families? But we have an issue in our community with trust. The trust in our community for the state government, sectors, or organizations that provide assistance. People are not open to go in to be vulnerable with where they are at, what they are dealing with. And so instead, they do the best that they can with what they are given. And when frustration gets too much, it's not that, I don't believe personally that parents just wash their hands of their children and say, you know what, you want to be grown, go do your own thing. I don't think parents actually just wake up and say, not all parents, wake up and say, I wash my hands of you. Okay, you want to be grown, you're not listening, go live your life. Go where you want. I don't believe that to be the case for all parents. And so what I am pleading on this video is that we get to a sense of community, that we show up. The mayor is hosting a forum on November the 28th at 6 p.m. that we bring our youth out. We bring out parents that may be having issues or struggling with their youth. Come out to the meeting, express what your needs are, reach out. I give you full permission, or I give you the open invitation to reach out to me, to share your thoughts and concerns anonymously. I don't have to say your name, but whatever your thoughts and concerns are, You can send them to me. I'll be your advocate. Because we need to get back to the sense of community where we begin to know who's who in the community, where we begin to teach our youth. We want them to respect us as adults, but how much respect are we giving to them? How much are we investing in them? How much are we listening to them? How much are we listening to their parents? So it is my prayer and my desire that we get to the place and point where we can be community, where we can serve and support one another. The one thing that I love going to these different meetings, Amy Craig, she is amazing. Her and her neighbors got together to actually come up with solutions concerning the speeding issue in their community. They didn't come with just the complaints. They came up with possible solutions. They pursued the city government support to implement the solution to the speeding in their neighborhood. And we were in a meeting and I'm like, that's exactly, one person said, oh, well, it's an issue because some of the underserved communities don't have the level of access that you have. Amy Craig openly said, I am willing. Here's my number. Reach out to me. I'm willing to help whatever community it is to form a community, a neighborhood association or whatever to get access and to actually go through the chain of command to propose solutions to some of the community's problems. And so until we get to the place where we can be community, where we can collaborate, where we can talk to one another, where we can acknowledge, yes, we have our differences. Yes, we may not agree. Yes, our needs are different, community by community, resident by resident, person by person. But when we can come together collectively to say, although that's not my issue over on Somerset Avenue, however, I'm going to stand with Somerset because there's going to be an issue that we have out on Wood Duck that I'm going to need some support in the Wood Duck community to help me. And although I'm not from that community, my support helps to strengthen the numbers that say, yes, I see what they're saying. This is a need. And although I'm not affected by the speeding issue on this particular street, directly affected, because our community, as I always say, no one's problem is everyone's problem. So I provide the space. Listen, I just wanted to recap my thoughts. I wanted to share what's going on. I want you to be engaged. I want you to be involved. I want you to share the video. I want you to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You don't have to watch everything that I post. There will be some things that you may catch your personal attention. I have to tell you, one of my final classes was a Parenting Today class, and just the awareness of how modern day parenting is so different from earlier generations was eye-opening. It was eye-opening. The societal issues that we are dealing with today and the way that we are addressing them today looks different from generations in the times past. And the times past the generations before us can definitely enlighten us. And so we have to understand generational differences in order to connect with the youth that we are attempting to help. I don't want to say hurt, because this curfew is proposed as a tool in the toolbox to help parents to identify where their children are, but also to get a greater awareness as to what needs do our youth have, what needs do the families have, And so I just invite you to reach out to me. I invite you. I want to partner with you, right? And so if you don't want to reach out to me, that's fine. But I want to partner with you in prayer. And so before I close this video, I want to pray. Father, in Jesus' name, I just come to you and I thank you for just the ability to be able to recap, to be able to articulate my thoughts, to be able to share a different perspective with community. Father, I pray for every person watching this video, every person that will hear this video, every person that will share out this message to someone else. I pray, Father, that you would give them the compassion, that you would give them the zeal, the desire to be a part of the solution, to be a part of a collaborative effort to unite the city of Cambridge, to bring about peace and love to families, to our youth, to bring about programming, effective programming, to bring about collaborative partnerships that will help to bring about solutions, to give our youth something to be engaged in that's productive. Father in heaven, I pray for every parent watching this video or listening, that you would give them the insight, that you would give them the patience, that you would give them the fortitude, that you would give them the strength to be the best parent that they can be, that you would give them the humility to reach out and to ask for help as they need it, that you would give them tenacity to push and to be all that it is that they know how to be, that you would give them divine alignment and connections to get the resources that they need to help their children. Father, I pray that the youth will become a beacon of light in this community, for they are our future workforce. They are the future generation. They are our future government. Father, I pray, God, that you would give even more people the patience to create spaces that the youth may have the ability and the opportunity to openly express themselves without fear of punishment or retaliation, that you will give, Father, strength to our law enforcement, that you would give strength to our government, that you would give strength to even those that have been contracted to come to the city of Cambridge to do work, that there will be a collaborative approach, that they will not just bring about new ideas without incorporating the community, but that they will identify community leaders to bring them in to help to build the strategy, to build the plan. Father, I pray this in Jesus' name, amen. Listen, as I said, this is a space where we come learn. We come together to be educated, to grow, and to heal. We all have something that and spaces and areas of our lives that we need healing in. And so I thank you for coming heal to grow together, so that we may help to build a generational flow, a generational movement that will create new pathways of opportunity, new insights to the coming generations as well. I thank you for every community leader, for all that you do, every public servant, for all that you do and how you serve, for every pastor, for every leader, for every young person that's striving and trying. And I just pray that as you are striving and trying, that you will come into your identity, that you will know who you are beyond the labels, that you will understand that your parents only want the best for you. And when you don't believe that they want the best for you, that you will reach out to someone to help them, to help you to understand the stage or the process that you are in. I just pray for those that are struggling and battling in addiction or behavioral health or mental health crises. I pray that, resources will pour out and that you would begin to embrace not just the resource, but that the resource will begin to embrace you and address and attend to your holistic needs. Listen, I am Shay Speaks, and I do all that I do to inspire the influencer in you. It's all about engaging, educating, and empowering you to become the better version and the best version of you, the true, authentic you. And so I pray that you are inspired and blessed by this message. Please feel free to leave a comment, connect with me on any social media platform at I Am Shay Speaks. Feel free to send me an email at shayspeaks1@gmail.com. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And so that concludes tonight's video. Thank you and have an amazing rest of your morning, rest of your day, rest of your night, rest of your evening, wherever you may be. If you are from surrounding cities, different counties on the Eastern Shore, if you have a program idea that you're like, this here is what the community should look into, investigate, to try to implement, please reach out and share those ideas as well. I look forward to speaking with you all soon. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.